Welcome to the newest episode of Beyond the Fame with Jason Fraley. I'm your host, Jason Fraley, picking the brains of the top filmmakers, musicians, and artists of our time. A boy band, Christmas, sings into Hollywood Casino at Charlestown Races in West Virginia on Friday night. I spoke to Drew Lachey of 98 Degrees, Eric Michael Estrada of O-Town, and Ryan Cabrera about their favorite holiday memories, the rise of boy bands in the late 90s and early 2000s, and why their former teen fans continue to follow their concerts today. Thanks so much for joining us. Take turns introducing yourselves and the group you sing with or solo or otherwise.
I am Ryan Cabrera of the boy band Ryan Cabrera.
Famous solo artist. All right, now Drew.
Drew Lachey from 98 Degrees, also on the tour, 98 Degrees bandmates Justin Jeffrey and Jeff Timmons.
And last but not least,
Eric Michael Estrada from the band O-Town, the group O-Town. We're not really a band. I hate saying we're a band. We're not a band. We made the band, but we didn't become a band. We're a group.
You're a band of brothers.
Thanks for joining us.
You guys write your own music now, so you're a band. You write your own music, you're a band.
Oh.
Yeah,
okay.
It counts. It counts. Joining us over your morning coffee and otherwise and everywhere you guys are. I really appreciate it. And we have to mention also this awesome boy band supergroup is also going to include Jamie Jones from All for One, who's not with us today, but that is an all-star lineup of some of the best groups that everyone remembers. And you're going to be coming to the Hollywood Casino Charlestown Races in West Virginia on Friday, December 16th. We're calling it a boy band Christmas. So I don't know who wants to hop in there first. I mean, I guess Ryan, tell us the idea. I mean, you're touring the country, and is it all Christmas songs, or is it any of the slipping any of the hits from your guys other stuff?
No, well, two things. One, I just heard All for One on a commercial a second ago. I swear. So shout out to Jamie right there. I literally just heard it right there.
It popped on.
It literally was just on. I just heard it in the background. But so this is like one of the most eclectic Christmas shows you're going to see because, we're covering not only, some Christmas songs that you wouldn't expect us to do, but everybody's kind of doing different renditions of their own hits. So you're going to get, part of a 98 Degrees show with part of a No-Town show with part of a Ryan Cabrera show with part of an All for One show amongst, some of the most incredible, vocalists I've been, lucky enough to be able to sing with. We just started rehearsal yesterday and I literally got cold chills just hearing all these guys sing together. So for me, as a Christmas lover, and Eric knows that I love Christmas. I have a Christmas tree up year round. So this is like, a dream tour for me.
Awesome. And Drew Lachey, give us a sense of some of the famous Christmas songs that we might hear on this. I don't want to spoil the whole set list, but give me something from the radio pieces here.
Yeah, I mean, I think for us, we wanted to make sure that it was an eclectic show. There's ebbs and flows and highs and lows. So we have some of your more current Christmas songs that people are used to hearing on the radio. And then we have some more classic standards that everybody, grew up loving. So it is a wide variety of music. And it's also delivered in a wide variety of ways. Some of it might be a little more acoustic. Some of it might be just straight piano. Some of it might be more produced heavily tracks. So it is definitely a variety of music.
Could you throw out a song title or two? You mentioned some of it's newer and some classics, but give us a teaser?
Oh yeah. I mean, we got, you'll turn on the radio station around Christmas time. You can't help but hear that Mariah Carey, All I Want for Christmas. So, you got to throw that one in there, but you also got some classics, your Silent Night and Run, Run, Rudolph, things like that. So, you throw that in there with a little I Do, a little All or Nothing, a little On the Way Down. You got a pretty dope show.
Oh, don't forget Oh Holy Night, which is a song that we all recorded together. Actually, right before we started this tour, which hit radio last week and it's actually doing pretty well. So we can't wait to go and do that live too. Oh Holy Night is actually one of my favorite renditions, aside from the fact that we're singing it.
Oh, I'm glad. Thanks for jumping in and I'm glad you mentioned that because it's really hard to pick favorite Christmas carols, but Oh Holy Night might be my favorite. I mean, that one, the way it kicks in and you belt it, it's really great. Which one of you wants to take? I want to know about sort of how. Y'all were coming up around the same time, but how did you form this whole Christmas show? Like obviously you're probably friends and acquaintances way back for, 20 some years now, probably. But how'd the idea to do a Christmas tour together come about?
Well, I know Drew can touch on this. Last year, I had the privilege of pitching a television show to ABC, which is a very boy band holiday. And
I remember seeing that.
and that ended up getting picked up, and we did it. We all were involved. Obviously, Ryan wasn't involved, Jamie wasn't involved, but we did that, and it was so much fun. And then this year, I know Drew and the guys from 98 Degrees had some routed dates in the books already, and they were sort of wanting to like create a different vibe to the show, and it just happened to be around this Christmas time. And I know Jeff had mentioned, hey, why don't we just do the thing we did last year and just do it live? And it just made sense.
Awesome. Ryan, what was it like doing the ABC special? Where and paint a picture for, because we're gonna be.
I didn't do that special.
You weren't there for that? All right. Well,
no,
Drew,
I'm new. I'm new.
You're the new kid on the block. No, that's a different.
They were
band.
there. Yeah,
Different band, different group.
Drew, what was like doing
He
that?
was
show?
there.
From what I remember, it was like, were you guys? It was like a cozy fireplace setting, like couches and stuff, I think. But what? Any good stories, either when the cameras were rolling, or actually even better when they cut? Were you guys cutting up behind the scenes and singing songs in between the breaks, or what?
Oh yeah, no, it was a lot of fun. I mean, obviously it was a great group of people. You know, we had Joey and Chris from NSYNC, and Wanya and Sean from Boyz II Men, and Joey from, like, a ton of people were there. And for us, we had all kind of toured at different times, different points with each other. But on tour, it's pretty hectic. You don't really get to like chill and hang out, and you just kind of like cut back a little bit. So it was a lot of fun, and it was, like you said, it was around the fireplace and it was cozy. But then you hear, Wanya over here just singing some song that literally, I mean, I couldn't sing those notes ever if my life depended on it. And he's just like riffing it up a storm, like it's
his voice is ridiculous.
It's insane. And then Bobby Brown walks in, and you're like, oh, my prerogative, don't be cruel. Those are like songs that like those were very, very important to me growing up. So it was a lot of fun, and also pretty special to be sharing the stage with people that you grew up idolizing and respecting, and like we've toured with O-Town, we toured with Ryan in the past, so we already have a chemistry. We already know kind of how each other works, and so it's going to be a lot of fun going out and doing it this time.
And a follow-up with Drew while we're at it. Of course, you and your brother, Nick Lachey, both in 98 Degrees. I want to know what was Christmases like together as brothers, growing up? Was it always a big deal around the tree? Did you, get new PJs every Christmas Eve? Was there a Christmas movie you watched there? I want to know what the tradition was in the Lachey family.
Well, I mean, honestly, we grew up in with a brother. It's pretty much like every big gift you get is split between the two of you. It's like, oh, well, we got the basketball hoop for you guys to share.
Dude, I'm a twin, so I get it. I get it.
So it was a lot of that. But, the main holiday tradition we had was like the midnight Christmas Eve service. Our grandparents would take us to church with them. And I think that's a big part of what everybody loves about the holidays is the nostalgia, the memories that takes them back. Nick was always, being a pain in the butt, like normal, so there were always like the Christmas Eve fights, and the Christmas were like, oh man, you got something I didn't get. And so normal brother stuff. But the nostalgia and the memories, that's what the holidays are about.
How about you, Ryan Cabrera? Was Christmas a big deal for you growing up too? What were some of your family traditions?
I mean, our really only tradition is a Colombian breakfast feast.
Oh,
so I'm
right.
I'm half Colombian, which is where the Cabrera comes from.
Sure.
So my grandma would always cook Christmas breakfast, which was my favorite, which was arepas, empanadas, patacones, all these Colombian foods. So now my mother learned my grandmother's recipes. Now our tradition is every morning Colombian feast, Colombian cola. So we get to carry that on now that my grandmother's passed. So that to me, is the food and like the breakfast and the family, and then of course after that, at this point I have nieces and nephews, so they just want to get into the gifts.
That's the
and lottery tickets. Lottery tickets is our tradition too. I can't wait for those scratch offs. I'm ready.
Is that again? Well, it's the perfect stocking stuffer. You know what I mean? Or is it like a big present and then you unwrap it and it's another box all the way, and then you're like, a lottery ticket?
No, we come to expect the lottery tickets. That's the first thing we look for.
Awesome. Did you ever win on a Christmas morning scratch?
I have one, but now my nephew he cheats. So he'll go and scratch them all off until he wins, and then he'll move the other ones into our stockings. So at this point, I don't get to win anymore.
Yeah, when you open your stocking and it's already scratched off, and there's
Canyon's got 7 winners, and we all lost.
What the hell, Santa? You always give him the good one. Awesome. All right. Well, how about you, Eric Michael Estrada, lead vocalist of O-Town? What was your Christmas traditions? Did you have any as a family?
I love hearing all 3 of my names at once. It's just really funny. A tradition, the tradition is where are my gifts? I need them now. No, not we really don't have like a lot of tradition. I think now there's not a lot of children in my family. I think Christmas is about the kids. It was a lot more involved when I was younger. But now I like to cook. So as much as I can cook now and be involved in the cooking process, that's the new tradition. I like to make empanadas. I'm Puerto Rican, so I like to be involved now on that level. But that's pretty much it. There's not a huge amount of tradition. I think that's it.
Food.
I'm hearing a lot of food, scratch off.
A lot of food. Yeah. It's funny because I never really heard that story about Ryan. Me and Ryan, we have a new Christmas song out too. Spend It With You. And I feel like we should do like a Spanish remix of Spend It With You now, Ryan.
Do.
See, we're just sparking ideas, talking about lottery tickets and Christmas traditions. You have to do that and duet now. You have to do it. Awesome. Well, let's get into some I would love to, I know we've hit the Christmas thing pretty hard, but I'd love to hear at least a memory or two of your actual boy band days or solo days in Ryan's case. Drew, what was it like in those 98 Degrees days? I'm trying to, the hardest thing, I do cherish you. This gift. There you go. That was a Christmas song.
Yeah.
Because of You, Invisible Man, I think was the first one. But man, I just a bunch of us grew up, with your songs. We, in the teen club, chaperone dancing 6 feet away or whatever. Thanks for being the soundtrack of our life. But what was it like? I guess had Backstreet Boys and NSYNC come out slightly before, or was it all around the same time?
So us and Backstreet came out pretty much like a month within each other.
Right.
So Invisible Man and I think Quit Playing Games came out around the same time. And then they had a second single, and our label went through a flip. So they went on one path, and we went through a path of, oh my God, I hope we don't lose our record deal. So it was a different path, but we kind of came out at the same time. Then NSYNC was a little further down the road, and then O-Town was right after them as well. So so for us, we're four guys from Ohio, so getting this opportunity to be signed to Motown Records and be on a label with all of our idols, Boyz II Men and Stevie Wonder and all this stuff was a dream come true for us. But the fact that you're saying that the soundtrack of people's junior high dance, I mean, it was the soundtrack to our lives too.
True,
I mean, we were growing up at that same time, and
True.
I think when we look back, we one thing we wish we would have done a little differently is, take a little bit of a step back and take the time to enjoy it a little bit more, smell the roses, appreciate the moments. Right. We're very blue collar in the way we look at things, and we work real hard, and we're grinding. And I think just to have that perspective of, this might not last forever. Enjoy it while you have it, and appreciate all these wonderful moments. But we've been fortunate to have a lot of them.
That's a good point. You were growing up at the same time. And I think that's why so many fans forged a connection with you as artists too, because it was like we were all growing up together at the same time, talking about dating, relationships, things that people that age go through. How about, I'm going to try to move a little chronologically. So 98 Degrees, I guess, was like 97 or something, I believe might have been the first hit. And then, let's toss to O-Town next, because I think Liquid Dreams was like 2000. All or Nothing was probably the really big one, or 01, We Fit Together, all that stuff, off that title album. What do you remember of those days, Eric? And do you want me to say Eric or Eric Michael Estrada? Because you said the name thing through you earlier.
No, it's cool. No, it's fine.
I don't even know sometimes.
It
changes. It changes.
Yeah, exactly.
Eric Michael, sometimes just Eric.
All right.
Sometimes
well, whatever you want, however you
me.
want to say, Eric. So Drew was just mentioning about how 98 Degrees was sort of right after Backstreet Boys, and then NSYNC was coming. What was O-Town like coming? I guess after all 3 of those groups were established, were you like, we got to get in on this? This is hot, or did it come together organically?
Oh well, that timeline when they came out, I was actually just graduating high school. So senior year, I was still in high school listening.
But you were
to these
dancing
guys.
to that too.
Yeah, I was coming home at 4 o'clock in the afternoon and watching TRL, and these guys are up there.
Right.
And then because of their success, because of NSYNC's success, because of Lou Pearlman's success back then, that's when MTV and Lou Pearlman put together Making the Band. And then that's when we were formulated on the show. And I heard about an audition and I was like, well, I need to do that. And so I went out to an audition in Orlando, and I came back home, and my life was never the same. The timeline changed from that point on. But it was, for us, like, we sort of felt like the younger brother, sort of looking up at our older brothers who've had like a lot of success, you know, and the sort of living up to that standard. And that was the standard that we sort of held for ourselves. We had Backstreet Boys going, you know, triple diamond or whatever they did, and like NSYNC selling more copies than anyone else. And like, you know, as a younger brother in the same sort of household, you're like, how do we even get to that? How do we even achieve that? That seems like so unreachable. But then we just started sort of galvanizing with ourselves and saying, we just want to win, and whatever we need to do to win and have success and be happy with what we do. And our story and our timeline was different because of Making the Band. But then, you know, being signed to Clive Davis was a huge accomplishment for us. We got turned down by every other label. And so the idea of being signed by Clive and being able to get just learning from him and learning from that process, that was indescribable, actually. And it's still, a lot of those lessons stay with me till today.
Awesome. Thank you for reminding me. I completely forgot that O-Town started on Making the Band. I even watched that. I even watched that damn show.
Yeah.
Oh man.
We were the first one. It was the first music series like on primetime. So like The Voice and American Idol and all those guys came after us.
Right. Absolutely. Well, thanks for all that good trivia. All right. And then last but not least, Ryan Cabrera. I guess if I'm moving chronologically, we had 98 Degrees and then O-Town, and then Ryan Cabrera. I know you're big. What was it, like? Guess 2001 was Elm Street, but then
oh my God, yeah, that's before. Yeah,
Right.
2004 was the first record, Take It All Away, and then On the Way Down was the first single off that. 2004, and then around 2005 was True.
Yeah, On the Way Down was such a huge hit. Memories of just how much that song changed your life.
It was, well, you know, I was always just a dude with a guitar. You know, at that point, singer-songwriters weren't really like the most popular thing in the world. It was boy bands. So, you know, going around trying to get a record deal was tough. I didn't even have a pair of shoes. I was in, you know, record label meetings with a pair of flip-flops, just try to get a deal with a guitar, and everybody being like, yeah, that's not the thing. But then it's not the thing until it is the thing. So I got very, very lucky. And then, you know, I think the mid 2000s was a really fun time for music, because it was, you know, a lot of, I mean, obviously the boy band time was, you know, such a good time. And then there was like a nice, like 2000s time. And I think that's why this tour is working so well, is because of, you know, us being all together, is because people are starting to realize how good that time period, you know, late 90s, early 2000s, mid 2000s, the songs were. And this show kind of showcases that. And like, you know, it started with the My2K tour. And it was just, every song was unique, and it was just fun. You know, it was a great time for music, and I was glad to be a part of a time that you actually had to get discovered. You know, it wasn't as simple as, you know, just throwing a video on the internet and, you know, getting a bunch of views. And not that there's anything wrong with that, but there's something cool about, you know, grinding, like Drew said, and getting discovered that way in a world that didn't have the technology it did. So I think it was just cool to be a part of that.
Absolutely.
And then now it's all coming full circle, and we're bringing it all back. We're still doing those hits today and new ones.
Yeah, I love how you just broke that down, and like the different eras of and how music evolved. And, you know, it was so huge there in late 90s, early 2000s, the time we're all talking about. It was like the boy band era. You couldn't turn on TRL. And then it almost went away. I mean, you had like the Eminem, you know, all you boy groups and girl groups annoy me, I've been saying here to destroy you. And then you're like, what the hell? And it went away. But then boom, you are back. I mean, you are back, and people are rediscovering the music. And I guess it's a little nostalgia nostalgia in there too. But you also, to your point, Ryan, everyone's remembering how catchy and heartfelt those songs were. Anyone want to, as we in final seconds, anyone want to sort of address that of why did boy bands sort of, they were passe and not passe, and now they're back again?
Well, I think
Drew,
music in general is cyclical. I mean, whether it's, rock goes, hip hop goes, it all goes in rotation. So, if it's popular one day, it's going to go away, but guess what? It's going to come back. I think that's just the way people view music. It's just there, and I think pop now has become more R&B and more urban. And so now there's also just like a melding of the styles, so where it's not really genre defined, genre specific. I think it's just a good song is a good song regardless of what genre it's under.
So and that's it being said, Drew, like the idea is like there was a lot of boy bands that came out during that time. There are a few boy bands that had really great songs, and I think the ones that have the really great songs are the ones that are sort of still doing what we're doing, still on tour, and it's the power of those songs that are timeless and allow us to do what we do. Another thing is that our fan base was really young back then. And I think that's what makes this time even far more gratifying, is that back then I was singing to a bunch of like 12 and 13 year olds. And, and there was an age gap. I was 20 years old, but now like
you're singing Liquid Dreams to a bunch of 12-year-olds.
Right. Yeah. It's just,
they don't even know what you're talking about.
Yeah. It was terrible.
Yeah, they figured it out later in life. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, what's cool with that
now we're singing to adults, and we're singing to people who can feel your music and understand.
And they probably bring their kids too now, right?
Absolutely.
They bring their kids and they think this is new. They're like, oh my God, I love their, that All or Nothing song is so good. Like, that's 12 years old, or whatever it is. And so it's cool to watch like the resurgence of the fans getting older and then bringing their kids and them now discovering 98 Degrees, All for One, and O-Town and Riot. It's a really fun thing to watch in the crowd.
Absolutely.
It's something for everybody.
Absolutely. Well, definitely everyone come check out the tour, A Boy Band Christmas at Hollywood Casino. It's going to be an awesome show on December 16th out there in Charlestown. So, hey, thanks so much for joining us. I appreciate it.
Thank
you.
Thank you.
All right. Be well. See ya.
All right.
Take care.
Jason.
Cheers.
Thanks so much for listening to Beyond the Fame with Jason Fraley. Our theme music is Scott Buckley's Clarion. Remember to give us a 5-star rating if you like what you hear. We'll see you next time.
Explain your DNA on 10 cases, man.
You're inside the police interrogation room with the alleged Potomac River rapist.
I'm not guilty on any of this stuff.
So calm, so reasonable. Could this be the man who terrorized women for 9 years before murdering a brilliant scientist 2 decades ago? Experience one of the most fascinating true crime podcasts available. Join crime reporter Paul Wagner for Unknown Subject, Season 3 of WTOP's American Nightmare series. Search American Nightmare Podcast on all podcast platforms.
I wanted to take a second to tell you about an app I really enjoy. Living in the DC area is great, and Podcast DC gathers all of the local shows that I like all in one local app. Health, sports, local news, politics, and so much more. Podcast DC is the new local app with hundreds of DC area podcasts to choose from. I can earn exciting rewards just for listening and share the podcasts I love instantly. Available in the App Store or in Google Play, listen local with Podcast DC.